What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. I'm back with Tom from CSI. We're at his body shop, or one of your shops. And as we've been going down this route of you developing a polish for me and kind of showing everyone how the sausage is made, there's one phrase that has really kind of stuck with me, and it kind of going to be the whole theme of this video, is you say to throw compounds in the trash. But for me, when I hear that, and I'm getting all tongue-tied of like, do I call my product a polish? Do I call it a compound? Blah, blah, blah. And so I thought, what better way than to ask you and then actually have you show us, like, why do you say to throw compounds in the trash? What did compounds ever do to you?
So, growing up in this trade, growing up in the auto body trade, there was a time when I wasn't very experienced. I just did what my dad said and saw time and time again, me making mistakes on a customer's car. I don't think my dad understood how a 15-year-old boy was making the mistakes that he obviously had overcome as an adult. But as I got older, and now I had my shop for many years and had guys who were very, very good at color sanding and polishing. I mean, true experts, really, really experts. And that's all they did. 40 hours a week, color sanding and polishing paint to absolute perfection. Meaning we take a car that we've just painted and we color sand it down to the nth degree.
Because we're not talking about crashed cars necessarily. No. You're talking about show cars. That's another reason why I kind of leached onto you, because I'm like, we're not talking about, a Dodge Challenger that got rear-ended and it's just kind of the general public car repaint. You're doing like this Chevelle, right? Like this. I don't know how much this car's worth. Admittedly,
$100,000.
Okay, so we're talking about a $100,000 car, but we have $1 million car sitting right behind us, right? in that car. So we're not talking about, and your experience isn't based off of the repaint of the $25,000, $30,000, $40,000 car. You're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollar cars and even hundreds of thousands of dollar paint jobs, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So the stakes are at the highest level for you. Okay.
And I mean, the only system that was there, the best company that was there for all of us was 3M. I mean, I'm not saying...
Which is still kind of the gold standard in the body shop
definitely
industry.
The king.
Okay.
No matter what anybody else thinks they're selling, 3M sells a lot more.
Okay.
I mean, no matter what.
Okay.
But that didn't mean it was right.
Sure.
And
or
now,
work.
Yeah, or work. Yeah, that's right.
Work the best, right?
Well, I had this discussion with another detailer, and he was kind of making the play like, Tom, whoa, you used it. I said, yeah, I used it, but it didn't work within the parameters that I had to make it work. As a professional, as an owner of a body shop, employing a lot of people. I'm giving them the best products. I'm not cutting any corners. I don't care what it costs. I just want this paint perfect. And then we color sand it out, and we use, back then it was basically 2 steps and 2 pads, but we buff it all out with the first step, and we get it. It looks almost perfect. But now, you got to clean it and do all the things that they say. And then you go to the next pad. And as you're refining that material, presto, we burn right through the edge. And I am flipping out.
Right.
I mean, I am so upset. And I know I can't really get mad at my guy. He's really, really good. And he's tired. He's been working that surface. And we've all been looking at it to get it perfect. And then the paint's so thin that he burns through the edge.
Because of the compound.
Because of the system, yeah.
Because of the system.
Using a compound.
So real quick, to your point about, because this goes into the whole theory behind, and what I feel I'm up against sometimes with my product brand, is that we fall back to the knowledge that we have with the current product offering. And a lot of people don't know that it could be better, or there are people that are trying to make it better. And one thing that I'm doing with my product line is trying to show people that there is a better way to do things. You can get really good gloss, really good slickness, really good ease of use with a ceramic spray. It's possible. Just brands haven't shown you that it's possible because it's expensive to do that. And that's basically what it comes down to. But in the same vein, in the same way, it seems like you're saying that too, of like, you got frustrated through this, system, and the other detailer, whoever that was telling you, well, Tom, you used it, and you're like, yeah, because that was the best system that was available. That doesn't mean that is the best way to do it. Exactly. That is just the best system currently available. Yep. And then that's what you set out to create with System 1 was a better system.
Yeah,
right?
Like we talked about in the first video that we did, I was frustrated. Okay. I'm struggling to make my paint perfect.
And then you're burning edges.
Consistently, yeah. Well, I mean, we were still winning all the shows, but we would have to redo and redo, and we're not getting paid for that.
Right.
Nobody gets paid enough to redo cars. But then I saw a system. I saw something totally outside of what we do in the auto body industry, and that was the polishing of these kind of lenses. Once I saw that it was possible, then they took me to where they polish the canopies of airplanes, and I'm like, wow, that is, and you're doing all that with one single product? How could that even be possible?
Right.
So then that was the quest for System 1.
Because a lot of, and maybe we can get into the demo that we're going to do today, because a lot of people also talk about, heat and warming up a lot, and that's a whole nother question and thought that I want to go down with you one time too. Like, does your current XX or Ceramics, does it generate less heat than, say, a 3M, or let's just say a compound in general would? Do compounds also generate a lot of heat on the panel, and that's why you're burning through too?
So, I mean, that makes a really, really good point. How often are we talking to people who seemingly want to come off as educated,
right?
And then we go, where'd they get that from?
Right.
And I ask anybody, because they're worried about heat. Oh, you're going to heat up the panel,
right?
And then they feel it.
Don't add any pressure because you're going to have heat.
Yeah.
Don't go on a higher speed because you're going to have heat.
Yeah.
It all which I'm starting to learn, and please correct me if I'm wrong. But all these quirky things like that, don't add any pressure. Yeah. Don't, slower arm speed, faster arm speed, and just this like ball of confusion that has erupted because this person's saying this thing, this person's saying nothing. That thing, what I think it's all coming down to is that they have inferior liquids, and they've created systems to work with the inferior liquid, because you're saying up on edge, this person's saying no pressure, who do you believe? And it's like, I don't know.
Well, I think we've talked about, some of the physics behind a truly water insulated product.
Okay.
Where you take a paper cup and you put it over the top of a Bunsen burner, water in a paper cup, over the top of an open flame, and the water inside the cup insulates the paper on the outside. There's tons of YouTube videos on this. And this is something that, my wife is a school teacher and teaches physics and chemistry. So you want to use fire in the lab, and, and this is a great experiment where you actually boil water inside of that paper cup, and it's totally insulated by the water inside. It's a
so
physics
the cup is not hot, but the water is?
The cup gets hot. But it won't burn through. It's impossible to burn through.
Okay.
It's a really good, I knew this about water. So if I got enough water inside my product becomes virtually burn proof. Meaning,
interesting.
Yeah.
Heat becomes not an issue.
Yeah, heat's not an issue.
So is the panel not hot when you're?
Well, the panel can get hot. Now I ask anybody. I said, I do a body shop demo, and they come over because they saw how much pressure I'm putting on.
Right.
They go, oh my gosh, that's really hot. I said, how hot does this car get in Las Vegas on a 100-degree day?
Right. Okay.
And they go, well, it's hot. No, it's burning. 200 degrees.
Yeah, you can't even touch it.
Twice the temperature that's there. If it's a 110-degree day, this panel is going to be right at 200 degrees. Okay. You cannot touch it.
Right.
So if you can touch it, it's not hot.
Got it. Okay. Okay.
I mean, if it's not touchable, okay, you're getting close.
So got it. Okay.
I think it's paint will melt at around 300 degrees.
Okay.
So if you're putting that kind of heat into it,
Clear coat will melt around 300 degrees.
Urethane paint melts at about 300 degrees. But when you do have a lot of solvent, and that's why we smell the products. Solvent is a softener. So for a formulator,
this is huge.
When you put enough solvent in the product, you don't have to ask the aggregate, the aluminum oxide or whatever you're using, to do the cutting. You're softening the surface with solvent. That's why.
Holy smokes.
That's why when you lay compound on a surface and walk away, go to lunch or whatever, you'll see it raise the surface.
And when someone says, hey, the workable polish is great, everything about it is great, but if I leave it on the panel after I'm done buffing before my wipe off, or if I need a spritz of a detail spray or a waterless wash because the wipe off is a nightmare, that's actually the solvent that is a nightmare.
That's right.
Hold on a second.
Yeah.
So So the solvent that they're using is softening the paint, and then the heat that they're generating from buffing, that's why they say don't use a lot of heat, don't generate heat, but it's actually the solvent that is softening the clear, and then when they heat it up with the buffer, that's where they're...
Nightmare.
Oh, and this is all compounds. This is the majority of polishes.
It definitely was when I came out with System 1. Luckily, I think that a lot of these vendors are moving away from stinky products. But the first thing that I do...
But then they're hiding the stink with a scent.
Now, if they're hiding, is the one thing, if you can sense a hydrocarbon, you feel it on the inside of your nose.
Okay.
So when you pump it... You might smell a vanilla because they're trying to hide the solvent.
But if you get that, like, ugh.
Yeah, when you feel it burn, boom, that's a hydrocarbon. So
anyone at home could take their current compound that's on the shelf, just pump it a little bit, take it and do a sniffy sniff test, like we used to do the sniffy sniff, like that. And if you get burning in your nose...
That's dangerous for the paint.
Dangerous for the paint.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get to the demo.
Okay.
That is groundbreaking because no one has ever, at least to the best of my knowledge, explained it like that, which it makes a ton of sense. And that is how that's a quick, easy test. Do the sniffy sniff test, pump it. If it burns your nose, it's got a bad solvent in there that's going to soften the paint. And if you heat that up, you're running a higher risk. Not that you're going to burn through the paint, right?
But see, these are all the nightmares that I didn't know.
Right.
I mean, I'm not a formulator then. I have nothing to do with this industry. I'm trusting the people who give it to me or I buy it. I buy the best products. And I'm going, why am I having all these problems?
And
now I got to go to school. Now I got to learn all about this and chemistry and
thanks for that, because now we're going to shortcut 30 years of knowledge in a simple 2-minute explanation of solvents and soft paint. So to celebrate the 1-year anniversary of the Jimbo's detailing product line, I'm giving everything away. So you get this super soaper, all dressed up, tough as shell, complete cabin cleaner, pure magic cleaner, the Gloss Boss, towels, everything completely for free. It's free to enter, it's free to win, and there's multiple ways that you can get tons and tons of entries. So if you go to jimbosdetailing.com/giveaway, I'll have all the information there. And again, thank you for all the support over the past year. None of this would be available without you. And so to give back, I'm giving everything away. So you're gonna sand it to 2000 just to... Why are we sanding to 2000?
Well, just we're going to simulate buffing with a compound and buffing with our best polish.
As you sand, I don't know how many detailers are actually sanding clear. I think Jason Rose made a pretty fair, not even argument, but a pretty good. I don't even know, a statement, I guess, not even a statement, training, that it may be actually better with the advancements of sanding paper going to 3,000, 5,000, instead of like doing a rotary polishing or something like that. It may be better to actually sand paint out to like do your first step instead of buffing would be like sanding with 5,000 to remove defects. I'm not asking you to say that's a good or bad method, but with that, there may be more detailers to sanding.
I mean, so I come from a different premise where I'm not trying to make the job super easy
Okay.
for the employee. I want to have highly skilled employees that understand what they're doing.
Okay.
Because in our trade, when I'm trying to produce show quality work, I need to sand with heavy grit sandpaper. Right now, I'm only sanding with 2000 grit.
Okay.
When we do a color sand and polish, we start with 500 grit, and it's a totally different paint job than you would normally have in a body shop. So if that's what Jason said, he's coming at it from a detailing point of view. You're going to walk into, the neighbor's house or driveway, and you're going to buff their car, and you don't want to burn through.
Right.
So I guess staying safe, for that reason, sandpaper removes paint, a lot of paint sometimes.
And that's the purpose of my statement there. What Jason was to say. So if detailers are following that methodology, do you have any tips?
Yeah.
all that to say, like, is there any tips when you're sanding of, like, obviously you're not rolling over the edge with your sandpaper,
I think the first thing, before anybody pulls out a piece of sandpaper, because people are going to see me doing this with my fingers, oh my gosh, you didn't use a block. Number one, we're repainting this car, so who cares what I'm doing here? I'm trying to simulate a sand scratch. And 2000 grit, using it by hand is totally okay. Because I'm not taking off that much paint.
What should detailers look for, though? Should they look for uniformity? Should they do it because detailers are constantly looking for, just tell me where the box is. Do I need to go 10 times in this direction? I noticed you didn't go in a circular motion.
No.
You went in a straight across, so you want to go straight across, and do you want to, sand for 30 seconds or a few times and then check your work? Are you looking at the water runoff? Like, what are you looking at?
Never sand in a circular motion. Because I'm not going to be able to differentiate when I'm buffing if I'm sanding in a circular motion, because the rotary is putting a circular motion in. I need to put straight line scratches in. So then I can see those straight line scratches being removed when I'm doing it. So straight line, up and down, back and forth. If I was going to color sand a customer's car with 2000 grit, one, I would warn the customer that this is dangerous. On a factory finish, you are taking off a lot of paint with 2000. And Jason's probably right if that's what he said about 3000.
I think he was going 3000 or even 5000.
5000 is not going to do a lot, but 3000 I can still move.
Well, and detail, and I'm not trying to discredit. I love Jason, so I don't want this to come off like I'm discrediting him at all. Because I actually, in theory, I agreed with what he was saying, because I think he was coming from the standpoint of, it's a little bit easier for the detailer, because you would get, like, especially at 5,000, you would get like a consistent finish that you could then easily polish out, which it made a lot of sense to me. I just wondered if there was the only reason I brought that whole situation up was just to ask the question, like, is there any special tips that we should look for when sanding?
Yeah, it's just, you do want to have a uniform finish. We're just trying to simulate a color sanded scratch, because I'm going to buff one side with compound, I'm going to buff one side with polish, and we're going to see what the difference is.
Got it. So this is just a prep to show So let's get into the compound.
So this is, generic compound. It's, not trying to bash any compound people, but if they ever want to challenge me,
you're up
CSI is up for the buff off. So put the product on
so
here.
Funny, because I used to make fun of the buff off, because I think it's interesting. Okay, compound. So as you're buffing, with all your experience in now formulating, what are your eyes seeing as you are buffing?
I'm looking for straight line scratches, but the first thing that you notice is that compound is so aggressive, it's putting in a big circular motion. I mean,
which is
big.
This. Okay.
Yeah, you can really see the record player mark in there.
And that would be the pattern of the buffing.
The pattern of the rotary polisher.
Got it, okay.
Which, says it's removing material.
But we're not getting a lot of spray, right?
No, I mean...
The workability is decent, right?
Yeah.
But it is looking chalky almost right away, right?
Yeah. And really, nobody should get spray with any product if you're doing it right.
So it's just me.
Me that gets a lot of spray.
Battery dies. So the pattern It is, I guess you said it right. The record look of that is what he's looking at.
Ugh.
Tom, is there anything I can help you with?
No, oh my God.
Here, you want me to plug that in?
Yeah, we need to put, because I'm afraid we're
You have
going to
that
run
other
out
battery
of,
in?
I got 3 batteries, so.
You want me to plug one in?
Yeah, plug one in just so we don't run out of juice. Smell the smell?
I can smell it.
You just smell it.
So that is the solvent that you talked about?
Yeah, that's the solvent smell. Oh man.
It's bad. But
Yikes,
it seems like
I hate
they tried
that.
to cover it up with lemon or something?
Yeah, it's just nasty.
That is really bad. So that's another way that you could tell if you didn't want to pump the bottle, but you wanted to do a sniffy sniff.
Yeah.
And here's a dry towel if you want a dry towel too. But you could definitely, and I became more aware of that with 3D1 as well, that I could smell it more as I was buffing it. I still like that product, and we're still going to compare it, but we're going to, geez Louise.
Yeah.
Okay, so explain what we're seeing in the light, or do you want to do the, let's do the other side.
So fresh pad.
Fresh pad, you're going to use
your XX, ceramics
which
XX.
is your most aggressive
This is our
polish.
Our best product for the auto body industry.
Okay. Now, if you could show us that record, how that record.
Look at the gloss level.
So the gloss comes first.
Gloss is nice.
And there's not as much of that record look. What'd you call it? The record?
Yeah, the record player look.
Record player look? Okay.
Those deep grooves.
And you're adding pressure, you're up on edge.
And, you know, in the body shop, if you're an experienced buffer, you're on edge. You are already on edge.
Because no one's not using pressure.
Yeah, if you're good at this, you want to get it done, and you've already been yelled at enough times by your employer to get off your hind end and get it done.
What if someone, you're a buffer at a body shop.
Yep.
And your boss comes out and you are using no pressure with your pinky up in the air.
You're fired.
Fired.
You're fired.
Okay. The boss wants to see you on edge grinding.
Yeah, you need to get it done, and you better not burn it.
And you better, got it. Get it done and don't burn it.
Yep.
All right. Looks like I won't be working.
And you know, we did one application here.
Yeah.
And it did everything. On the other side, I had to put 2 applications, and we had 2 fresh pads.
That's right. You did. That's right. You did. You really loaded. You had to load that other pad up a lot. And we are going to see swirl marks.
Yeah, we're going to see a wool pad mark.
But it did remove that. You want a dry towel?
Look at this. Look at the clarity difference.
And one thing I want to mention, even before we get to the clarity difference, because one thing I see a lot of is the wipe off is such a big deal.
It is.
The wipe off is
especially if you let this stuff dry.
Yes.
Because when we're smelling the solvent,
right?
Can you see a difference on this side?
Yes. Can you see it?
I can see
in
it
the light. Okay. So explain as he's kind of getting the shot, explain what we're seeing on the left-hand side, which would be the compound side.
Yep.
What are we seeing?
So the compound obviously uses a bigger grain size.
Still a diminishing abrasive or no?
I don't know what they would call it.
Okay.
I would say to the formulator that if I can remove a 2000 grit scratch this fast, and obviously I removed it with your product, why aren't you using my grain size?
Got it.
Because my surface looks better than your surface.
Because we see a lot of haze.
Yeah.
We see a lot of what detailers would call micromarring,
yes,
which is generally accepted as okay. And you're saying micromarring is a telltale sign of bad product.
Bad product.
Okay.
And here's something way cool. I don't know that we could do it right now, but if you take a tape measure or a ruler
Okay.
and read back
Okay.
on the ruler, you're only going to be, look at the detail on how you lose it at a foot away.
It starts to get kind of blurry.
And here, look at the detail at a foot away.
Do you have a tape measure?
Let me see.
It's okay. We could. It's okay. We could do it next time.
But this is how you tell clarity.
Right.
By measuring a ruler backwards.
Okay. That's it.
That's how
okay.
you measure a black lacquer paint job. You should be able to measure back 36 inches.
Whoa.
Yeah. On a hand-rubbed black lacquer paint job, that is perfect.
Okay.
You
and
should
you're
be able
saying
to
on
see.
the compound side, because the micromarring, the haze is so heavy,
Yeah, look
you're
at-
probably at 12 inches or...
Yeah, and look at, our faces here.
Yeah.
And look at our faces here.
Got
There's
it.
more clarity here. So this says I'm going to be able to go to final
Right.
quicker than I will here.
Got it, because this compound, then you go to like a medium finish, and then you go to a fine, and that's where we got that 3-step, 3 separate pad that everyone hates.
Yeah.
Got it.
So
And this isn't even, and you wanted to do the tape.
Yeah.
Here you go.
and you feel this. Feel that. This
So there's
feels
oils left. So
yeah, you can feel it. I
we
mean,
talked about-
this feels like it's shiny.
Yeah,
It feels like
it's
it has
slick.
a coating on it.
Right. Okay. Yeah, so we talked about the solvents, but then also the tape. Not terrible.
Not terrible.
Right?
No, it's
A whole nother thing I want to get into one time too is how fresh paint.
yeah. Now this is strange. See how the tape left a mark?
Yes.
And we're not leaving a mark here. Telling me there's oil on that surface.
I can see a little bit of a mark.
Oh yeah, there we go. Okay, I can see it from that angle. Okay.
But that brings up another good point with your stuff, that because we talked about it in the first sample video, is that when it's with your polish, it's ready to ceramic coat, ready to add toughest shell.
Yep.
Check out jimbosdetailing.com. But it's ready for your protectant step, right? Whereas this surface wouldn't be. But I thought about it when I was watching one of your other videos that after you buff the paint, that paint is soft and you could scratch with your finger. That was what you said in your. So my thought was, after you buff a car, if you have to then go to like an IPA wipe or an alcohol wipe to prep that for a coating, after you just buff the car, that's when the paint is at its most vulnerable, right?
It's gonna
So then you're
scratch
going to go
easy.
over it. So then it's going to scratch easier. So if you
Really
could
easy.
avoid that IPA, that panel prep, that would be safer
Oh, yeah.
for you,
Absolutely.
let alone saving you a step. Okay,
Yeah.
and we haven't even hit this with a panel prep. Do you want to hit this with
let's
a
hit
panel
it with
prep?
panel prep.
So now we're going to hit it with the panel prep to remove any oils or to reveal what the true, this would be revealing what the true, oh boy. This would be reviewing the true surface.
So can you see a clarity difference?
Yes.
I mean, one
It's
side
slight.
should look blacker.
One side is
Then the
definitely
other side.
blacker. I think the swirl marks are throwing me off a little bit.
I
Personally.
mean, this side looks much duller
Wow,
to
that
me.
is-
When I look at the
Yes.
reflection of
Yes.
the tripod,
yes.
and I look at the reflection on this
Yes.
side,
Much. There is much more depth, much more blackness.
this looks like
Much more
it has
blackness.
been sanded
Again,
with 10,000 grit.
yeah, it almost looks like you went backwards on that.
Yeah.
And that is why there is alcohol wipes, solvent wipes, IPAs, panel prep, call it whatever you want to call it. It's because in the compound or polish that people are currently using are oils, and those oils are being let. So not only are they using bad solvents, but then it's leaving oils on the surfaces that, but again, this is a perfect case in point. So instead of fixing the liquid in the formula, they just went, let's actually add another product into our line because then we could sell more product.
Well, and I think that, and
This looks really
I am
bad.
happy that most companies are truly looking at what we did with System 1.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
in the end,
All ships rise in a high tide.
That's right.
That
I
is
mean-
my opinion too of like, look, I just want better products. That's why I
That's right.
gravitated towards System 1 in 2009 because I'm like 3 separate products. I'm just getting started in my detailing business. I'm like 3 separate products, 3 separate pads. It's kind of confusing. It's a lot of work. I'm like, and then I saw System 1 and I'm like, Holy crap. I could get this in the double-sided pad. Anyway, whatever. So you can see why I've partnered with Tom, and I'm so grateful for Tom as we develop out a polish. Now, I'm only going to call it a polish. No more compound words after what I learned today. But developing out the polish for the JIMBO's line. So if you want to see those previous videos, I think we have 2 or 3 videos out currently, kind of developing the perfect polish for the JIMBO's line. If you want to pick up some of Tom's product right now, CSI, I will make sure to link it below. It's also on Amazon as well, so I'll try to link that. If you're in a body shop, I would highly recommend this, even for detailers too. Grateful to Tom for his time, and man, the knowledge that you just dropped on this, and that's what I want. I want claims and then be able to substantiate those claims. It's one thing to just talk about, oh, compounds are bad and they're junk. And by the way, I have a perfect solution for you, right? That's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to actually show and prove that, like, hey, be careful with your compounds. And that's basically what we're trying to say, right? Like, be careful with your compounds. Obviously, if you want to buy CSI, that's great. I want everyone to buy the JIMBO's polish that's coming because I think it's the best too, right?
Yep.
Based on what you're making.
Absolutely.
But ultimately, just be careful with your compounds. And I think you gave them some very simple, practical, you could use the ruler, you can pump the bottle, you can smell it as you're buffing. And like, because you don't want people to have to endure what you endured for 30 years, right?
And you know what, if I could just say one little
Absolutely.
thing.
That's right.
The truth matters.
The truth matters.
I mean, if we can whittle it down, if I'm blowing smoke, call me out. But, you know, we put our technology against every product out there. This is absolutely the fastest, the safest, and the most economical way to polish paint.
How much, as we kind of wrap up, how much do you, I know there's, maybe next time we'll bring in a paint thickness gauge to see how much more material, but is it, how much do you think you removed less material just in doing this, or was there not much material?
No, this system
removed?
definitely is removing more material.
Okay.
I mean, one, we have to fix this.
Right.
So this is going to take more time to fix the scratch pattern that's here rather than here.
So do you think micromarring is a sign that you're removing too much material? Or is that not a correlation?
Yeah, I mean, it turns into a whole bunch of different things because did the solvent stick on the surface? And then I got the micromarring just by taking off the product that's stuck on the surface. Or was it actually caused from the wool pad or the microfiber pad too? Because I hear that happens too on a microfiber pad.
Got it.
But you know, this product works great, and your product's going to work really good with microfiber.
Yeah, that's kind of the goal I'm going after, and that's a lot of people are starting to ask, like, well, what's different with yours and XX and ceramics? It's not a completely different formula. Well, same base, but it is a completely different formula, at least the way you're telling me. And my goal really, because I'm detailers, and most detailers aren't going to be sanding.
Yeah, you're not color.
And so I'm going after the Oreo pad or microfiber pad with one polish, and I'm really trying to go after that, like, with one liquid, one pad, you can get the majority done of the stuff. So it is a little bit different. But yeah, thanks, Tom, again. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Make sure you hit the big red subscribe button on your way down. Check out the previous videos, which I will also link below. You can check out the JIMBO's detailing products as well. By the time you're watching this, maybe there is a polish out, so that'd be cool. Probably not, but hey. And yeah, with that, I'll catch you guys on the next one. See ya.